What about your own personal breakthrough? You had said at one point that you somehow became aware that the success you had wasn't real, wasn't authentic, wasn't what you wanted. When and how did that happen? How did the personal breakthrough occur?
Yeah, you know,
you could have just kept living the way you were living, couldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Or apparently not.
Absolutely. Well, I chose not to. You know, I certainly could have. It wasn't. You know, coming from a place that was so painful and so bad earlier. You know, 12, 15 years ago when I was a complete mess. It wasn't pain on that level. It was a different kind of pain. It was more of like a dull ache that sadly I think a lot of people just put up with, you know, and they stay there and they do it. For me, it was self-awareness probably that did it, and it was probably fueled by pain, you know, and when we talk about that, part of coaching people is really amplifying and showing them how much pain they're in, because we have an infinite capacity for self-delusion. You know, we have an infinite capacity to delude ourselves to our own situations and sort of lie to ourselves about our own potential and about what we'll do later and about, you know, who we hope to be one day and all those things. And the saddest story would be the one where, which is probably common, we keep telling ourselves that, and then our time runs out, you know, and we never actually do those things. We never do that. And so I woke up to that, you know, through self-awareness and through spending time thinking about these things. I woke up to this fact that I didn't want to live a life where I wasn't doing the most highly leveraged things, the most meaningful things, that I wasn't honoring who I was and who the people around me were.
And it sounds like that was an internal thing. It didn't come from the outside. Was there an event? Was there something that happened?
Yeah, you know, no, my work was really good. I was going from running one office. We'd gotten bought out at my company, and rather than, you know, many people were potentially downsized there, I in fact was given 5 offices to run, and I had a lot more things to do. So my career was going up. You know, it was really contrarian, the sort of choices. So getting in touch with what was going on internally for me was not what people on the outside thought. In fact, most of my friends were like, "Are you out of your mind? What are you doing right now? Leaving this to, you know, to write and to do a free podcast and all the things that I was doing at the time that weren't about money. You know, that just weren't about money at the time."
And I do remember back then,
Yeah.
and when you told me what you were doing, and I remember being very supportive,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
your look showed me that I had obviously said the right things
Yeah.
too, because you I don't know if you said it, but it seemed as though there were a lot of people in your life that were not supportive of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you should have taken the pay raise and
Mm-hmm.
taken the job promotion, if we will,
Yeah.
or the title
Yeah.
increase,
Mm-hmm.
and all the good things that came with that, but you just weren't happy apparently, or it just wasn't you.
It wasn't my highest value. You know, it wasn't my highest thing. And so, you know, that's the question that I would ask of people. Do you want to be mediocre? Are you just trying to survive? At what level are you trying to live? And many of us are honestly just trying to survive. Many of us don't want to be more, you know, many of us don't want to be all we can be, you know, but for those that do, there are tools and techniques. There are things that they can do that can change their behavior over time. And that, you know, as I mentioned, habits before, changing your behavior over time consistently so that you don't do the same things you did before, so that you do better, more highly leveraged things that get you a better result in all kinds of ways, whether that's with relationships with people, whether that's monetary reward, whether that's, you know, safety and security and just ability and power in whatever circle of influence you have. There are tools and techniques that get you there. And these are in books all around us, all over the place. But I've tried to do my best to synthesize those down into things that are really, really meaningful, that are the deep essence of things that you can hand to people and immediately turn a light switch and quickly change their reality.
And once you began to do that, you started achieving consistent results.
I did. Yeah. I absolutely, you know, in the beginning it was kind of like, what part of this really worked? What part of becoming aware of my own thinking, let's say, is really working here. And I started to see that it was much harder to kind of lie to myself about a lot of things. It was much harder to do whatever. And so I started saying, like, what part of that could I tell other people? And what was funny was I'm vice president of technology at this company, and yet I have, you know, a line of people outside my door from other departments that don't report to me that are trying to learn, you know, what are you doing? Like, why do you seem so calm in meetings? What's happening here? So it was not only showing for me, but I started to teach other people about this. That's about the time that I started doing my podcast. And my podcast was all about conscious evolution, inner talk, how can we, you know, behave differently, all the things that I try and do. And, you know, I wholeheartedly asked people to sign up for that and check it out. It started to get a huge listenership. Lots of people were interested in what I was doing. And so I started to really know that there were consistent results there. I started to know that this was really helpful to people. This was something that could change people's lives.
Is the podcast the thing you're still doing?
It is. It's all the old episodes are still there. I don't update it as frequently as I used to because now I'm working with people at a different level, more one-on-one. But yeah, that was, you know, there's 70, 80 shows out there that are, you know, there for people to consume on my website.
If people want to access those, what's the best way to do it?
Sure. They would go to fundamental-shift.com and go to the podcast section and, you know, check it out.